When is too much and enough going to be too much and enough with the exploding rates of autism? Autism rates are rising exponentially, with recent statistics estimating that 1 in 36 children are now on the autism spectrum, and even much higher for boys. And just 1 to 2 generations ago, at most, it was 1 in 1,500. It's time to take this way more seriously and address the root causes of autism head on instead of simply continuing to blame genetics and say we don't know what's going on. If you or someone you know who has a child with autism, undoubtedly as a parent, the first question you asked was why. Specifically, is autism genetic? Still today, this is a long held assumption that genetics and heritability must explain sharp increases in diagnosis and the wide variation in symptoms across the spectrum. However, we're here today to challenge that assumption and propose an empowering new perspective backed by emerging science. While genes do, of course, play a role through something called genetic predisposition, even traditional medical doctors and media outlets are now being forced to admit there is an environmental factor. While they pretty much leave it as that, a general blanket statement regarding the environment, we do the opposite. This video and all of our content will take you deep into the real root cause and known triggers for autism spectrum disorders. We now know that there is a full-on environmental perfect storm brewing for kids struggling with autism, and genetics only plays a small role in that whole picture. This video is for parents and caregivers of children anywhere on the autism spectrum seeking clarity, community, and care options that dive deep into their real root cause of autism, rather than merely calling it genetic and hoping to work around the challenges with autism presents. We'll explore evidence on genetic links to autism and why genes alone fail to explain recent rises in autism. Instead, we'll introduce what we call the perfect storm, where accumulated stressors and dysfunction disrupt nervous system function over months and years, altering childhood development. Parents will find drug-free answers to help their child's perfect storm. Listen to Evan's story, a 3-year-old patient with autism. After 3 years of constant struggles with everything from sleep to sensory meltdowns, speech delays, major motor tone and coordination challenges, constipation, chronic respiratory infections, and so forth, his parents took him in for a full-day neuropsych evaluation shortly after his 3rd birthday. It was here that they received his autism diagnosis and also were told, "There's nothing you can do to help. His birth has nothing to do with it. His gut issues have nothing to do with it. Diet changes won't help. Get used to it and save your money because one day you'll be older and he'll be bigger and you'll need to put him in a home when you can't take care of him anymore." Yikes. We're here to give a different answer and provide some real hope and answers when it comes to autism. Let's start with the number one question parents ask. What's causing autism? When parents ask why autism occurs, mainstream medicine often says, well, there's better recognition or it's genetics. They only recently finally started to admit that there's also a mix of environmental factors at play, but then offer little explanation or research behind that. While genetic factors are always at play for various conditions, we've known for nearly 2 decades now that genetics don't explain chronic illness all on their own. There is no single autism gene. Over 100 genes regulate risks, but mutations only appear in 10% of cases. So what environmental factors matter most? This is where things get fascinating, interesting, exciting, and frustrating all at the same time, because it's a multifactorial conversation and list of contributing causes. Here's what we know about this perfect storm sequence or list of stressors and toxins. It starts with prenatal or maternal stress. It's a big deal. The foundational period for when a baby's neurological development is occurring, it needs to be considered. Significant stress that a mother experiences during pregnancy can influence how a baby's neurological development will progress. Follow that stress up with birth interventions and trauma. Imagine this with me. Stress out an individual who's already stressed out. How are they living? Would you say that they're thriving? Now place that analogy on the developing infant. Add additional stress to an already stressed out nervous system. Then continue to stress them out by exposing them to antibiotics, medications, and other toxic influences, which, mind you, are designed to stress your body out. And it doesn't stop there. On top of all of these other clinical experiences, and emerging research are starting to talk about things such as EMF exposure, mold, and other household toxins and chemicals, chemicals in foods, soaps, detergents, chemicals, toxins in medications, and other medical interventions. It's not a one cause factor. It's not solely a genetic influence, it's a sequence. Continued stress imposed within early childhood can push the nervous system into a stuck, overstressed, fight or flight sympathetic response, which then alters development and brain function significantly. These events lead to a neurological tipping point for many children, where they may be developmentally normal or mostly on track, and then all at once, all this stress and toxicity adds up or stacks up on their nervous system, and it gets locked into a sustained, stuck fight or flight pattern of sympathetic dominance. Once the nervous system is shifted and stuck into this pattern, all the developmental and general health functions are thrown off track. Gut and immune function, gross and fine motor, sleep, inflammation, and so much more. When these challenges start to pile up, the brain and nervous system then get off track and begin to struggle with the core elements of autism: communication, social interaction, sensory processing, restrictive and repetitive behaviors, stimming, and so forth. If your child has an autism diagnosis and you've been told there is nothing you can do to help them heal because it's purely genetic, it's time to learn more about the role that environmental factors may have played and how your child really can heal and have a greatly improved quality of life. To learn more about exactly what environmental triggers and perfect storm factors occur that can increase the risk of autism and contribute to its related challenges, click the link below or in our bio to read the full article on Is Autism Genetic? And get the answers and drug-free action steps you deserve. That's all for this video. Thanks for watching and have a wonderful day.